What's going on, YouTube? It feels wild to finally say those words. I have been lagging on making content like this for quite some time. Honestly, Instagram is just my main thing I like the most. So starting something new, you guys know how it is. It's just like sometimes it can be intimidating. But if you're watching this, thank you. This is literally my first YouTube video ever, like legit. I'm gonna try to just do this in one take, and if I screw up here and there, sorry, but I wanted to make videos on YouTube to really kind of like encapsulate some of my thoughts when it comes to how I think about trading and process in general. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tanner Owings, aka The Strong Trader. I've been day trading full-time for over 5 years now, and I've also been competing in the sport of powerlifting for over 8 years. I have derived a lot of my philosophies when it comes to process and becoming a better trader from philosophies I've learned from gaining strength and competing in the sport of powerlifting for so long. I've been lifting weights for about 14 years, so I know a thing or two when it comes to gaining muscle and strength, and I understand that it's about the process. Like, that's what it comes down to. That is how you make progress ultimately. I'm never thinking about, oh, I'm going to deadlift 700 pounds. I'm just like, oh, I have to do the work day in and day out, and as a byproduct, I get stronger, therefore I test my maxes, and I end up deadlifting over 700 pounds. So I wanted to make this video today about something I'm currently dealing with, and hopefully it can help you guys, but it's the concept of dealing with losses. So obviously everyone takes losses, but I have a unique approach where I think it's very interesting to think about the idea of comparing losses to how you have an injury when you are lifting. So I'm currently going through this where I recently injured my rotator cuff. It's just an overuse injury. It was nothing in particular that happened. It's just an injury that occurred. In the sport of powerlifting, you get injuries all the time. It's honestly like inevitable to not get injured. It just happens. And sometimes you're doing everything right and just shit happens. And kind of just like trading, you can have days where just shit happens. Things don't go your way. And unfortunately, because of that, you get screwed for it. So when it comes to taking losses and the comparison when it comes to injuries, they're very similar in the sense where I have a unique mindset for it. So when I have an injury when it comes to powerlifting, like right now, like my rotator cuff, I look at it as just a speed bump. I don't even look at it as a setback because you're going to experience speed bumps throughout everything in life. You know, nothing's gonna go perfectly all the time. You're gonna have issues arise, you're gonna have things happen which are sometimes out of your control, but you do have a choice of how you want to proceed forward in order to deal with it ultimately. So right now with my injury, I have two options, right? I can figure out how to rehab it, work through it, and then continue training like I have been, or I can make it worse, push it too hard, and potentially really, really get hurt. So hopefully you start to understand where I'm going with this, but the concept when it comes to that and trading and losses can be a very similar mindset. When we take losses, you have to look at it as a speed bump, right? You're gonna make mistakes, it's gonna happen, and when you do that, the last thing you wanna do is make it worse. So it's like, when I strain my adductor or like I hurt my rotator cuff or whatever, if I'm actually doing a movement and I hurt it in that moment, automatically my brain goes, okay, you're done lifting that specific movement for the day. That exact type of movement, you know, loading it with a certain type of weight. When we take really big losses, we need to really structure our brains the same way of like, you hit your max loss on the day or the amount you told yourself you would lose. And in order to not make it worse, you have to be able to think about stopping there, right? And I know this is much easier said than done, but hopefully this analogy kind of helps you guys in kind of looking at it like that. Where if we can treat something in our life that already has an idea behind it where we know and we're programmed to be like, okay, don't make it worse, such as an injury, for example, you essentially stop the bleeding, right? With a loss, it's the same idea. We want to stop the bleeding for that time. And then after that, you know, again, there's two ways to look at it, but when you are recovering from an injury, you look at it in the sense of, okay, at least I do. I got to rehab it now. I need to slowly reintroduce the movement. I need to slowly kind of get back up to speed to where I was. You take a big loss, it should be a very similar concept. You slowly reintroduce your setups, slowly reintroduce size till you get back to where you were, till you can start pushing it again. And that analogy to me makes tons of sense. I hope it makes sense to you guys, but that is like the idea of how I try to frame my brain when it comes to losses. Now, I'm not always as good at this. Like, it's of course easier said than done, like I said, but it's one of those things, especially where as time goes on, I notice I get a little bit better at it day in and day out. I don't have this recurring bleeding that continues because I know I'm like, okay, let's not do anything more tragic in order to hurt it more, just like I wouldn't exacerbate an injury by loading it more and like really pushing it heavy. I slowly reintroduce the movement, like I said, and slowly load it till I get back to where I was. So this concept is basically what I wanted to make this video on because my brain all the time thinks about these correlations. Again, I've been competing in the sport of powerlifting for 8 years. I know what it takes to gain strength and muscle, and I understand the concept of the process. Like, I've never ever thought about being this strong really in my life. It's never something I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be deadlifting that much weight or squatting that much weight. I've just been so ingrained of day to day, like do my program, go to the gym, and go eat and sleep, and like that's just what I do. And as the byproduct, I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting stronger. I'm getting stronger, yeah, by following that process of doing that day in and day out. So I have all of these little correlations and like metaphors and stuff when it comes to lifting and trading. And really that's my whole idea behind the brand Strong Trading in general, is I just want to basically mesh these two things that I love in my life and try to preach about how there's value in it. There's value in understanding how things cross over in your life. And I know tons of you, especially if you're watching this, you're probably interested in fitness in some way, shape, or form. And if you are, think about what you do in your fitness side of your life that you can carry over to trading. And it doesn't have to be just lifting weights, right? Like maybe you're a runner, maybe you're a swimmer, maybe you just like to walk. Like, I don't know, like whatever it is. Like, but think about something process-wise, like, oh yeah, it feels really good when I do that, and like I'm not thinking about the outcome, I'm just thinking about the process of doing it, and as a byproduct, you become a better runner. You know, you increase your mile time, or like, you know, you increase your lap time as a swimmer. You build more muscle, obviously, as like a bodybuilder, or like, you know, you gain more strength as a powerlifter, like whatever it is. So I want you to think about those concepts. So I'm probably just gonna wrap it up there, but I'm gonna try to put out videos like this where I kind of just am ranting about these concepts of, you know, process and carrying it over to trading, things I've learned from lifting and I can bring it over to trading. I'm sure I'll do a bunch more different types of videos on this channel, but this is me finally just like making a video, putting it out there to start this channel and let you guys know that I'm here. I exist on YouTube, right? So that's it. I'm gonna leave it there. I hope this helped you. If it did, help me kind of build on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. I don't even know exactly how to fully grow on YouTube. I'm researching it more, but I really, really appreciate all of you who've been supporting my content. I have almost 20,000 followers on Instagram, so it's really great to engage with you guys and just like honestly be able to help a lot of you that come to me and just like see the day-to-day of a developing trader, right? Because I'm not one that has all the answers figured out, but I am someone who has finally been able to make a living off trading, and I have a lot more room to grow, and I'm really excited to keep growing, and I want to keep sharing that journey with you guys. So appreciate all of you, and thanks.